Have you ever wondered what makes Jesus' parables so powerful and relatable? They're short stories that convey deep truths about life, faith, and God's kingdom. In just a few minutes, we'll explore 10 of Jesus' most amazing parables, and I'll share with you their meanings and implications for modern life. Get ready to be inspired and challenged. Jesus told these parables to help people understand complex spiritual truths in a simple way. They're still widely used today because they speak to universal human experiences. Let's dive into the first parable. The parable of the Good Samaritan is one of Jesus' most well-known stories. It teaches us about the importance of showing love and compassion to those in need, regardless of their background or circumstances. A man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They beat him up, left him half dead, and stole his belongings. As he lay there, a priest and a Levite saw him but passed him by. But a Samaritan, who was considered an outcast by the Jews, stopped and helped the man. He bandaged his wounds, took him to an inn, and paid for his care. Jesus asked his listeners, which of these three was a neighbor to the man? The answer is clear: it's the Samaritan who showed compassion. The parable of the prodigal son illustrates the themes of forgiveness, redemption, and unconditional love. A father had 2 sons, and the younger one asked for his inheritance. He left home, squandered his money on wild living, and ended up broke and hungry. He returned home, expecting to be punished, but his father welcomed him back with open arms. He was overjoyed to see his son and celebrated his return. This parable shows us that no matter how far we've strayed, we can always come back to God and receive forgiveness. The parable of the lost sheep focuses on the value of every individual and God's desire to seek out the lost. A shepherd had 100 sheep, but one went missing. He left the 99 sheep in the field and searched for the lost one until he found it. When he finally found it, he was overjoyed and celebrated with his friends. Jesus said that God feels the same way about each lost person. He wants to seek out and save those who are lost. The parable of the sower analyzes the different responses to the message of God and the importance of being receptive. A farmer scattered seeds on various types of soil. Some seeds fell on the path and were eaten by birds. Others fell on rocky ground and withered away. Some seeds fell among thorns and were choked out. But the seeds that fell on good soil produced a bountiful harvest. This parable teaches us that the way we respond to God's message determines our spiritual growth. The parable of the talents stresses the significance of using one's gifts and resources wisely. A master gave his servants talents and expected them to invest them wisely. 2 servants doubled their talents, but one buried his talent in the ground. The master praised the 2 servants who took risks and used their talents effectively. He rebuked the servant who was lazy and didn't use his talent. This parable encourages us to be good stewards of our resources. The parable of the rich fool discusses the dangers of greed and the fleeting nature of material wealth. A wealthy farmer had a bumper crop and decided to build bigger barns to store his grain. But God said, "You fool! Tonight your soul will be required of you." This parable warns us that life is short, and we can't take our wealth with us. We should focus on what's truly important, our relationship with God and others. The parable of the mustard seed highlights how small beginnings can lead to great outcomes in faith. A tiny mustard seed grows into a large tree, providing shade and shelter for many. This parable encourages us to have faith, even if it seems small. With time and nourishment, our faith can grow and make a significant impact. The parable of the unforgiving servant emphasizes the necessity of forgiveness in our relationships. A servant was forgiven a huge debt, but he refused to forgive a smaller debt owed to him. His master was displeased and punished him. This parable teaches us that we should forgive others as we've been forgiven. The parable of the workers in the vineyard illustrates God's grace and the idea that everyone is welcome, regardless of when they come to faith. Workers were hired at different times, but they all received the same wage. This parable shows us that God's kingdom is not based on human merit but on His generosity and love. The parable of the wise and foolish builders teaches the importance of building one's life on a strong foundation of faith. Two builders constructed houses, one on rock and the other on sand. When a storm came, the house on rock stood firm, but the house on sand collapsed. This parable encourages us to build our lives on a solid foundation of faith and obedience to God's word. In summary, these parables offer valuable insights into God's kingdom and our relationship with Him. They encourage us to love our neighbors, forgive others, and use our gifts wisely. They remind us that faith can grow from small beginnings and that God's grace is available to everyone. I encourage you to reflect on these parables and share your favorite one in the comments below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel for more content on faith and spirituality. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.